Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me.
Oh my goodness, thank you for taking the time. This is my pleasure.
Oh my gosh, of course. Okay, so your new single, Tell Me I'm Pretty, comes out January 21st. And
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to get a sneak peek and listen to it before it comes out. Yeah. And
Yay.
it was literally so good.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it.
It's so good. So, what is your inspiration behind the song?
Yeah, so it's a song I really wanted to write for a long time. I would say that sort of the beginning kind of me thinking about the sort of content of the song happened when I was in college. And I actually was watching this scandal play out with the men's soccer team at my school, where they were discovered to have this group chat um, that rated women on the women's soccer team um, on their physical hotness. So these women were given a score, and some of these women were my friends, and so it really hit home, and it was really hard to see them kind of take that and kind of feel the just the sadness around that, and some really horrific things were said about them by these men. And so the line in the song, um, maybe I'm worth more than some numbers or a score, really comes from that moment. And that was really the lyric that started the song. And then I was kind of just had that in my back pocket for a while. And then I was on tour with Why Don't We in 2019. And I was playing every night for all these amazing Why Don't We fans, primarily female, and they grew up, a lot of these girls grew up in the age of the internet. And I just sort of thought about how the internet can sometimes feel like this place where our physical hotness is rated or we have a right and just like a lot of anxiety over posting selfies and what that means, and I have that quite a bit. And so I just wanted to write this song. After that tour, it was like, okay, it's time. It's time to write this down. This has been on my heart. And Tell Me I'm Pretty was one of the first songs I wrote for this next project.
I definitely think this is such a great message for women in general, but especially young girls. So, what is your message to young girls who resonate with this song?
Yeah, my message for young girls in this song is just to encourage them that however they feel about their selfies or their physical appearance does not measure their worth, and their true beauty is in who they are. And I think that's really where I found beauty in my life, and where I start to feel good about myself is just when I'm being who I know I'm meant to be. And I hope that that's what defines them, and I hope that that's what they take from the song.
Yeah, that's so great. And so, I also got to watch the music video, which is literally so beautiful. Where was this
Thank you.
filmed? Can you tell me how this came about?
Yeah, so this video turned into something that I didn't even know was possible. I knew that I had all of these ideas. I think when you think about the song, it's talking about the internet. It says, talks about getting lost in likes and views, and so it's a very modern song. But I really wanted to show in the video that this experience that we're having on the internet, this sort of image-based obsession, image-based culture, is not new. In fact, it's been around throughout most of history. And so I really wanted to show the historical aspect of it. And also I love like period dramas, like Bridgerton is great right now for
That's what
me.
it
So
reminded me of. I'm like, I feel like I'm
yeah,
watching an episode right now.
I wanted to sort of like live out those dreams that I had to be in a period piece. But but yeah, so we found this location in Los Angeles to film. This house is owned by this couple who they've just done it up in these French antiques. And we found the most perfect director for it, Lauren Dunn. She, like, I got on the phone with her the first day, and I was like, is this idea crazy that I have? I want to be in like full period get up and I want there to be other women in the video doing the same thing. And she was like, no. She's like, my mom is a French antique dealer. And I wanted to do this whole thing with a portrait, which you saw in the video.
Yeah.
And she said, my boyfriend is a fine artist, so he can do the portrait. And so she was just the perfect director for the video. And yeah, it's really the video of my dreams.
It
So
is so cool. I was like so taken aback. I'm like, what the heck? So this is not your first single. You have other songs like
Mhm.
Might Not Like Me and Time of Our Lives. So what first got you into music? Is this something you've been doing your whole life?
Yeah, I would say that singing definitely has been a part of me. My mom grew up, singing in the church. My grandparents were singing all throughout my childhood. So that's always been a staple. But it was really in high school where I found sort of an old guitar in the corner of our house, and it was my dad's, and I asked him like, "Can I pick this up and just see what happens?" And he was supportive of that. And at the end of the day, at the school day, I just would go and play. It was kind of my sort of release at the end of the day. I was um, very kind of overwhelmed and busy when I was in high school because I was applying to college and no one in my family had done that before. So it's just a very overwhelming experience. So I started learning chords on YouTube and from there writing songs, and that was just kind of like a very therapeutic thing for me at that time.
That's so great. And so with writing songs, what is your creative process like?
Yeah, so it's different every time. Sometimes, you have a concept and then other times it starts with a melody, but I would say 9 times out of 10 for me, it starts with the concept. That's what really sells me on a song. I care so much about, putting positive and hopeful messages out there, and so I'm always trying to think of song ideas that kind of go along with that.
And who were your music inspirations growing up?
So I loved Avril Lavigne. I think she's just like the coolest rocker chick in the world. And I love playing live and getting really into my live performance. And so I really was inspired by her. I loved watching her music videos and her performances growing up. And kind of like any pop artist woman at that time, I also loved Hillary Duff. I think she was my first CD. Uh, and then in high school, I was on a road trip with my dad, and this song came on the radio, and it had this super long intro, and it was very emotional. I think the intro was like 3 minutes, and I looked over at him and I was like, "What is this song?" He was like, "You've never heard November Rain by Guns N' Roses?" And I was like, "No." I listened to Hillary Duff and Avril Lavigne. And he was like, "Okay." So he literally found a CD store because those were still a thing at the time on our road trip, and introduced me that day to U2 and Boston and Chicago and all his favorite rock bands. So I did become a big fan of rock music as well.
And it's crazy to think, one day I'll be interviewing someone else and they'll say growing up you were their inspiration. So
Ah.
it's so cool, right?
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
So who would be your dream singer or songwriter to collab with?
That's a great question. There's so many. I would love to write a song with Ed Sheeran because I'm so inspired by his artistry and his storytelling. So that would be a dream for me.
Have you been able to meet any of your like inspirations on tour or something?
Yeah, I have. I got to open for Alanis Morissette for a few shows a few years back, and she's just endlessly inspiring to me. Again, she's got that like rocker chick vibe that I love. Brandy Carlisle is just such an inspiration to me, and I've been able to open for her as well. The band Switchfoot was another kind of one of those rock bands that I loved listening to.
Yeah. And lastly, what is your current go-to song right now? What are you currently listening to?
Oh, the Olivia Rodrigo song. I feel like everyone's
Who
saying
is
that, but for real, it's so her besides it just being an amazing song, her voice is unreal on the song. Just her range and her dynamics in that song is really inspiring to me.
It's funny you say that because when I was listening to your song, it kind of reminded me of her just because you both have that like passion and like really care about your lyrics.
Oh,
Um, so I thought it was so
thank
great.
you. That's so sweet. I'm like very honored that you drew a connection between us. I love her.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you again. I'm so excited for the 21st for it to come out.
Thank you, Jillian. I so
Yeah, thank you
appreciate it.
so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks.